If you want to learn how to do this crochet foundation, stay tuned. Firstly, I started off with freshly washed hair and I'm just blow drying it to ensure that that foundation is not wet. We don't want a wet foundation at all. And I'm starting off by parting off that first row. In that row, we are going to get 5 individual box braid. And I like to make sure that my parts are really clean. So this is me here just braiding them down individually. And I'm using my client's natural hair. You can add braiding hair to this, but it just looks extra bulky at the end. So I prefer to use the natural hair. So my first row to the back is going to have 5 individual box braid, and this can be solely dependent on how big or small you want your back row to encompass. Then I'm moving on to the front of her head, and I'm using her ear as a measurement guide as to where to part out. And I do a rough part first before going in with my jam or your edge control to clean up those parts. And for the front here, I'm also doing individual box braid as well. And as we come higher up the top of her head, you are going to notice that the parts are going to get bigger. So what we're going to do is we're going to split that in half, and we are going to create 2 box braid. So when I am on the second one, I'm just going to take the first one and include it into that box braid, and then continue plaiting until I reach the end of that braid. And I'm going to continue this process until I am completed with the top row of her hair. And once we are finished doing that, this is what the top row is going to look like. Our next stage is to do cane rows coming down, and I'm going to show you all how we include those braids to the front in that cane row. So I'm just taking them, and those are my base of what I'm starting my cane row with, and I'm just including them into the start of the braid, and I'm gonna braid all the way down her hair until I reach the bottom row, and I'm gonna show you all what we're gonna do and how to include it into that braid. And once I have reached the end of that particular cornrow, I am then going to include that small box braid into that plait and continue braiding down until we have reached the end of the plait. And you're going to continue this same process until you have reached the end of the braid. However, when you reach the end of this braid, that same braid that we previously plait is now going to then be included into that second braid. So each braid that you braid, you are going to include it into the braid and braid it into your plait, and this is going to give us that seamless finish, because you don't want to have braids just loose, because then your crochet can fall out. I do approximately 3 to 4 braids until I reach the middle of the head before going on to the other side. So I just showed one side before I was completed on the entire hair, and we are not doing any leave out braid whatsoever. So as you can see, every braid that I braid, I'm including that into the next braid that I am about to do. And this particular stage is very crucial for optimal protection, especially if you don't want any leave outs, and we know crochet is completely covering up the natural hair. So this is what we have at the end, and I'm going to take my crochet needle, and that final braid I am just going to crochet it all the way up to include it in the top of her hair, so that the hair is fully protected when she puts in her crochet braid. And this is our final look. I hope you all enjoyed this video and learned from this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for much more content.